Shrugged by Ayn Rand. This is the 36th live dedicated to the work, to this novel by Ayn Rand. Right. Page 878. That's the difference between business and politics. We have no selfish ends in view, no private motives. We're not after profit. We don't spend our lives scrambling for money. We don't have to. That's why we're slandered and misunderstood by all the greedy profit chasers who can't conceive of a spiritual motif or a moral ideal. Or, we couldn't help it, he cried suddenly, whirling to her. We had to have that plan, with everything falling to pieces and stopping. Something had to be done. We had to stop them from stopping. We couldn't help it. So, this is, I think, James Taggart. It's his phrase. We couldn't help it. It's his phrase. Like, whatever ugly and inhuman thing he does with his cronies to stifle economy, to steal his competitors' money or business, he always first speaks of high morals, like it's for the sake of the people, for the sake of the country, to help the poor and the needy. And then when things go even worse, things go wrong and get worse, he's like, well, we couldn't help it. It's not us. Don't blame us. We don't hold any responsibility. This is James Taggart's lingo. So this is how a lot of collectivists justify themselves. And to be honest, I hear these kind of reasonings among some Democrats, well, naturally socialists as well, a lot of left-wing collectivists. They prefer this kind of, lingo and arguments. These are not even valid arguments, but yeah. 879. She stopped, aghast, struck by the question. What is it then? Faith versus truth? And realizing that part of her zeal to believe was her fear to know, she set out to learn the truth with a cleaner, calmer sense of rightness than the effort at dutiful self-fraud had ever given her. It did not take her long to learn the evasiveness of the Taggart executives when she asked a few casual questions, the stale generalities of their answers, the strain of their manner at the mention of their boss, and their obvious reluctance to discuss him told her nothing concrete but gave her a feeling equivalent to knowing the worst. So, yes, I chose to quote this part, probably faith versus truth, about, this question. This is Dagny Taggart. These are her thoughts. She's vocal in this novel. So she's questioning herself based on the reality around her and her brother, who is the president, and she's the vice president of the same company. Her brother, who is raking and destroying their heritage, the business that their grandfather built for them, is like Dagny comes to understand that these people are about faith, blind faith. In this case, it's not religious faith, but it can also be religious faith. So the philosophy of objectivism is the philosophy of rational thinkers and individualists and free market capitalists. So she comes to understand that these people, they are also about faith. They don't care about reality. They don't care about facts. They care only about their own blind beliefs. and they think that they will bend everything, they will bend reality. Uh, it's, in the new age-ish way of thinking. Yeah, if you really believe that you can fly, you can fly. And sometimes or often people, like faith-based people, take those things literally. And so this is a very interesting question: faith versus truth. So when you become faith-based, you denounce reality. Based on your faith, it can be religious, it can be social, it can be political. Your faith, your blind faith, clouds your judgment, and you make yourself a mental you make yourself mentally handicapped because of your powerful and blind faith. So you've got to be careful with faith. Like, empires sometimes fall because of this. In the USSR, for instance, they believed in communism and in socialism. The state would control everything, including the economy. The state would come up with those 5-year plans. In Russian, these were called пятилетки. So the state would tell factories and workers how much of what to produce. Let's say the state would say, within 5 years, we are going to produce 500,000 tons of cotton, 25,000 tractors, etc. And they didn't care about the market, they didn't care about demand and objective processes. Yeah, they cared about their vision, which was faith-based. They believed that they're doing the right thing, that they're doing it for the working class. And the concept of classes is kind of interesting too. Like, you cannot have just one class, yeah? When you classify things, you come up with different classes. But interestingly, in the left-wing collectivism, they try to turn everyone into one class, like the working class, the proletariat, yeah? And there are those, in their minds, marginalized and minority classes, which are not important, which should not be taken into consideration, etc. But hello, good morning. Hi, Raj. Hello. But that's a twisted way of looking at things. When you create classes, you need to understand that life is diverse, and diversity is everywhere, in nature, in society. And when you try to squeeze everyone into one class, you already are distorting reality. It's like taking the light and ignoring the fact that there are many different colors, and taking only one color, green or blue or yellow or whatever, yeah? And saying that this is the only true color, or this color is the best color, and we need to convert all other colors into this color, and those who do not comply, let's just marginalize them, imprison them, exile them, execute them, etc. Thank you for the thumbs up. If that's you, Raj, thank you. So that's already this class-based thinking, and taking one class, like workers' class, and declaring them to be the best class is distorting things, and when you distort reality, when you don't admit that reality is real, that reality is about diversity, and so on, you are harming yourself and everyone. Page 880. He answered her in the same manner. He told her the whole story quietly, impersonally, pronouncing no verdict, expressing no opinion, never encroaching on her emotions by any sign of concern for them. speaking with the shining austerity and the awesome power effects. Einrand's language. It's kind of beautiful, yeah? The awesome power of facts, yeah? And speaking with the shining austerity and the awesome power of facts. Um, this was Eddie Wheeler's. Eddie is um, positive figure in the novel. He lacks some important mental abilities, and in the end, the lack of this dooms him. Like he dooms himself because his dedication to one company, Taggart Transcontinental, drives him into oblivion, into death. So even if it's a noble cause, when it's just faith-based, when it's just emotions, when you don't have your priorities, when you don't understand your philosophical and mental premises, that can also condemn you to death. Yeah? But yeah, the power effects, that was beautiful. On the same page, she looked at him as if he were making inarticulate sounds that connected to nothing inside her mind. Why didn't you tell me the truth? Is that all the love you felt for me? You sneaky little hypocrite. Is that all I get in return for my faith in you? Why did you lie? Why did you let me think what I thought? You should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed to face me or speak to me. I? The inarticulate sound had connected, but she could not believe the sound they made. What are you trying to do, Jim? She asked, her voice incredulous and distant. Have you thought of my feelings? Have you thought of what this would do to my feelings? You shouldn't have considered you should have considered my feelings first. That's the first obligation of any wife, and of a woman in your position in particular. There's nothing lower and uglier than ingratitude. For the flash of one instant, she grasped the unthinkable fact of a man who was guilty and knew it, and was trying to escape by inducing an emotion of guilt in his victim. This is very profound. This is very simple and concise, and this is what narcissists and manipulators do. Okay? Inducing a sense of guilt in an emotion of guilt in their victims. Okay? But she could not hold the fact inside her brain. She felt a stab of horror, the convulsion of a mind rejecting a sight that would destroy it. A stab like a swift recoil from the edge of insanity. By the time she dropped her head, closing her eyes, she knew only that she felt disgust, a sickening disgust for a nameless reason. So this is the wife of James Taggart. So he cheated on her um, emotion of philosophically speaking. She mistook him for a creator, for a powerful, reasonable, smart working business person, and she married him thinking that he was this creative, powerful business person who has the vision, who was creating, who was solving issues, but actually it was his sister, and he just kept silent. He allowed his wife to think that he was the creator, that he was behind the achievements of the company, And now she, after years of marriage, she understood. And now she's facing him. She said, as if she were naming her thoughts for the benefit of the rational being who was not present, but whose presence she had to assume, since no other could be addressed. That night, those headlines, that glory, it was not you at all. It was Dagny. Shut up, you rotten little bitch. And then on the same page, another quote. She wondered at how strange it was that this world, which was supposed to be the simplest in the human language, the word understood by all, the universal bond among men, conveyed to her no meaning whatever. She did not know what it was that it named in his mind. And that word was love. I love you, he said. Nobody has ever loved me, he said. There isn't any love in the world. People don't feel. I feel things. Who cares about that? All they care for is time, schedules, and freight loads and money. And I can't live among those people. I'm very lonely. I've always longed to find understanding. So he just goes on, and then she continues as well. Jim, she said, with an odd little note of severity in her voice, what I've struggled for all this time is to understand you. He dropped his hand in a motion of brushing her words aside, not offensively, but sadly. I thought you could. You're all I have, but maybe understanding is just not possible between human beings. Why should it be impossible? Why don't you tell me what it is that you want? Why don't you help me to understand you? He sighed. That's it. That's the trouble. You're asking all those whys. Your constant asking of a why for everything. What I'm talking about can't be put into words. It can't be named. It has to be felt. Either you feel it or you don't. It's not a thing of the mind, but of the heart. Don't you ever feel? Just feel without asking all those questions. Can't you understand me as a human being? Not as if I were a scientific object in a laboratory? The great understanding that transcends our shabby words and helpless minds. So this is James' universe. He is a dualist, so he divides the world into pieces, the material world and the spiritual world. Yeah, he brings this division, this dualism, and he declares one reality to be higher than the other one. The invisible, the ideal reality is higher than the rational, mental, physical reality. And this is very well, this is common in philosophy, in religion, in life. Plato and a lot of philosophers, Kant, they all spoke of pure and impure, or the world of ideas and the world of the matter, and they all spoke of another reality which is superior to this one. And they often say that you cannot achieve that reality with your mind and your senses. But it's funny, like they themselves use mind and senses, and they speak of that other reality using their mind and their reason and the invention of writing and speaking. Yeah, so they are using all the tools of this universe of the rational mind, letters, words, writing, and they denounce that which they use in their works. Like they use words and um, writing to denounce the idea of rational living, the idea of inventing words, inventing writing. They say everything, all of that is just bleak, all of that is gray. There is this higher reality, and it's just unfair. It's like using Facebook all the time, going live on Facebook to denounce Facebook, you know? And it's very unfair, you know? It's very immoral, if you ask me. Um, so YouTube is suggesting me some Q&A, most useless. Oh, okay. I think this question is for you. Let me write a question for you guys. Do you like objectivism? Okay. And you can answer this question, okay? Like this. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's very immoral, you know, when suppose someone hates Facebook and they go live on Facebook all the time and they denounce Facebook on Facebook. That's parasitical, you know. And when the spiritual people, the altruists, use everything that was created by reason to denounce reason, and the world that we live in is very immoral, very unjust, you know, very, very low, I'd say. Okay, next page, 882, again. It made no difference to her any longer. The one who was she had looked with eagerness at the turn of every corner ahead. The passive stranger who had taken her place was like all the overgroomed people around her, the people who said that they were adults because they did not try to think or to desire. But the stranger was still haunted by a ghost who was herself, and the ghost had a mission to accomplish. She had to learn to understand the things that had destroyed her. She had to know, and she lived with a sense of ceaseless waiting. She had to know, even though she felt that the headlight was closer, and in the moment of knowledge she would be struck by the wheels. So this is that poor lady who was full of ambition. She wanted to achieve things in life, but she married James Taggart, an altruist, a collectivist, and then she slowly was destroyed by this man. Now, page 883. To be loved for, he said, his voice grating with mockery and righteousness. So you think that love is a matter of mathematics, of exchange, of weighing and measuring, like a pound of butter on a grocery counter? I don't want to be loved for anything. I want to be loved for myself, not for anything I do or have or say or think. For myself, not for my body or mind or words or works or actions. But then, what is yourself? If you loved me, you wouldn't ask it. His voice had a shrill note of nervousness, as if he were swaying dangerously between caution and some blindly heedless impulse. You wouldn't ask. You'd know. You'd feel it. Why do you always try to tag and label everything? Can't you rise above those petty materialistic definitions? Don't you ever feel? Just feel. Yes, Jim, I do, she said, her voice low. But I'm trying not to, because what I feel is fear. Of me? He asked hopefully. No, not exactly. Not fear of what you can do to me, but of what you are. A very interesting conversation, actually. And this, I created another term. So we have Homo sapiens, the thinking man. Yes, sapiens is sometimes translated as wise or thinking, and in some European languages like savoir in French is to know. Yes, saber in Spanish. So sapiens is about that. Yes, knowing, learning, science. So we have Homo sapiens, the thinking man. And I invented another term, Homo fidelis, the believing man, because I think it's a difference of types of people, or at least types, a difference of software. Just like on the same computer, you can have Windows and you can have Linux installed, right? So you can have the same hardware like human beings, yeah, the physical body, but the software can be very different in different people. So I think apart from thinking man, Homo sapiens, we have Homo fidelis, the believing man. They believe and they live by belief. Um, for all of humans, I'd say reason is an instrument, is a tool, uh, which is about helping us survive and thrive. Reason helps us plan, grow, and achieve things in life, right? So, Homo sapiens, the thinking man, knows this and admits this. Homo sapiens understands the value of reason as a tool for maintaining and improving the quality of life. Homo fidelis, on the other hand, does not view reason as the best or most reliable tool for learning about reality and for maintaining and improving the quality of their lives. They view reason as something little, inferior, unimportant. They are ready to benefit from the fruits of reason, especially through manipulating others. Like, I can get rich and I can hire scientists and use their brains, harness the power of the mind of others. But as a Homo sapiens, I don't care about the mind, about reason. I care about blind belief that I carry within me. And within them, there are different types of believers too. So sometimes that belief can be religious. I believe in some religious ideas. Yeah, it's religious faith. And sometimes that faith can be social or political. Sometimes it just can be a form of all encompassing nihilism. Nothing is real, everything is fake, nothing matters, everything is just a matrix, all and everyone are fake, and therefore I can do whatever I want to achieve my goals. Or even me and myself and my goals are also unimportant because nothing exists, including myself. So that's also faith, yeah, and that's a very nihilistic faith. But so that's another type of Homo fidelis, a believing man. And James Taggart, if I were to use my term, Homo fidelis, is an excellent, in parentheses, an excellent representative of this type of people, Homo fidelis. Their software is different from the software of the Homo sapiens, I would say. Yeah. 884. All you welfare preachers, it's not unearned money that you're after. You want handouts, but of a different kind. I'm a gold digger of the spirit, you said, because I look for value. Then you, the welfare preachers, it's the spirit that you want to loot. I never thought, and nobody ever told us how it could be thought of and what it would mean, the unearned in spirit. But that is what you want. You want unearned love. You want unearned admiration. You want unearned greatness. You want to be a man like Hank Reardon without the necessity of being what he is, without the necessity of being anything, without the necessity of being. Shut up, he screamed. They looked at each other, both in terror, both feeling as if they were swaying on an edge which she could not and he would not name, but both knowing that one more step would be fatal. Ah, this wow, this is so interesting. And now I'm just reading quotes, right? From this huge book. Look at this. But imagine reading page after page and getting into these stories, understanding the mental processes, the values of each character, and reaching those points of these crescendos through slow and intentional reading. So this is why I encourage you all to read Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. This is so powerful. Unearned in spirit. So, admiration without necessity to earn it. Um, this is a form of narcissism, right? Like James Taggart says, I want to be admired for myself. And he will not name himself. What is that self? He will not say it. So, but he doesn't want to create. He doesn't want to produce. He doesn't want to earn admiration. He doesn't want to be admired thanks to his achievement and thanks to the fact that he creates something valuable and something worth admiring. We could call it a God complex. And this idea, I think I could call it parasitical. This parasitical idea of admiration for nothing, admiration for just being or for yourself, is introduced through religion as well, like Christian God. A lot of believers, they say that we admire God only because he is God, not because of what he did, not because he created us, but only because he is God, an all-knowing, all-powerful creature. So that creates this need of being constantly admired, this need of being validated without any values, without any framework, without any reason, just validated for being. I don't know, this reminds me of a black hole, to be honest. Black holes, they take everything, yeah? They destroy things. So someone who wants admiration without any conditions, without any values, is like that black hole who wants to take everything. So this passage is very interesting because here James Taggart's wife starts to understand his essence, and she is terrified. She is very afraid. And in the end, something tragic happens. So stay tuned, okay? I will go live hopefully tomorrow or maybe the day after tomorrow, and then we'll learn more and we'll continue this fascinating journey through the psychology and the value system of different kinds of human beings, the thinking man and the believing man, right? Comments, likes, shares, and donations are all welcome. Okay, super likes while I'm live and other forms of donations are um, very welcome. And remember that I'm creating a community of new intellectuals. So if you're interested in improving yourself, in lifelong learning, in making reasonable, rational meanings for your lives, then you can join the movement, you can subscribe, you can engage with me through comments and through cooperation. Okay, if you're based in LA, we can also engage offline. If not, let's engage online. Thank you and see you next time.